The Minecraft movie has been one of the strangest, most random and surprising events we've had in cinema in recent years. Although it's not the first time an attempt has been made to give this game a story with a beginning and an end. We must remember that time when Telltale Games, a developer known for the graphic adventures of Walking Dead and above all their damn prime of Wolf Among Us, literally tried to create a story mode. Although it started being somewhat acceptable that the story was split into chapters that came out with too much time difference. Added to the hilarious and stupid that the story was becoming, which at the beginning was something serious, they made the community practically completely forget about this and let it die in oblivion. In fact, the only thing the community remembers from that mess is the comically hilarious scene where the pig dies. And the Minecraft movie had many questionable or rather strange things, even before seeing the trailer. The first leaked images of the production design gave a lot of hope. I mean, literally they were making physical sets that mimicked the game. Then it was announced that Jason Momoa would appear in the movie for some reason. And many started making theories that we would indeed have the super buff Steve meme, but with him playing it. There's a widespread myth about Steve from Minecraft. And that is, according to logic, if a Minecraft cube measures 1 square meter and Steve is 2 cubes tall, it means he's a super buff 2 meter tall guy. Who breaks trees with his fists? I don't know how canonical this is, because in the end, all the humanoid characters in the game are 2 blocks tall, so it wouldn't make much sense. But anyway, I think that aside from this myth, one would want to see a Steve, well, anyway, more like how we imagine Steve. I have the usual complaints, which I won't get into. However, I quite like the actor they've chosen to play Steve. It's okay. Then it was indeed announced that Jack Black would be the one to portray Steve. My buddy has a very good voice, there's no doubt about that. He may not have more attributes, but he makes up for it all by singing like a damn angel. Hey. No one cared about Jack Black being Bowser in the Mario movie, and he dominated the playlists with his song about peaches, repeatedly mentioning the fruit. We're discussing a live-action adaptation, and Jack Black doesn't exactly embody the essence of Steve, does he? I won't discuss physical disqualifications, but it's worth noting that the game's antagonist is a highly generic character. The skins enable self-insertion into the character and allow for a lot of craziness, for better or worse. Nearly a decade after its announcement, the Minecraft movie has finally arrived. Months ago, I made a video with my initial impressions of the trailer and the overall aesthetics this movie would have, based on what was shown. And both I and 99% of the internet had the same impression. I expected it to be a shitpost and a spiritual sequel to Jumanji. To which time passed, more and more things were revealed about it until we finally got here. April of 2025, where the world would see the Minecraft movie for the first time. If I'm being honest, this movie's first impression before even seeing it is, as a person who actively spends time on the internet, for better or worse, it's pretty bad. Initial reviews called the movie the worst abomination created by the industry, labeling it a sacrilege and an insult to viewers. Critics went as far as calling this one of the worst, if not the worst, films released this year. I was unsure whether to believe it or not. Well, we already know, as is often the case with critics supposedly specialized with certain films, they remind me a bit of the video game press, right? A movie made for a dubious audience and all the critics said it was God. But well, time passed. Garbage like Snow White took our attention. Video on the channel, by the way, and that fucking shit of a movie. Having cost almost $300 million, it barely made half of that back, while the Minecraft movie has already surpassed $300 million in revenue, having cost only half as much. We can affirm, without fear of being wrong, that Jack Black has screwed over Disney. Take that up the ass, Mickey Mouse. We are finally here in front of the movie that, according to leaks, contains a sex scene between the YouTubers. Vegeta777. Who calls him 777, right? Vegeta777, damn it. Willy Rex's videos average 40 minutes in length. While it didn't quite happen, it came very close. Mr. Black and Jason Momoa make out like 80 times. The bromance between these two in the movie has been very strange. Seriously? Do these two have severe sexual tension? Really? That was in the script. How curious and funny. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to talk about one of the movies, surely the strangest, most bizarre and cursed that I've had to see in recent times. This is a Minecraft movie. The movie begins with Steve telling us his origins, that square character that the internet has analyzed, to the point of deducing that he has the physical ability to lift tens of tons of solid material solely in his pockets. It turns out, he was always a kid eager to go work in the mines, but a mean old miner kicks him out of there. Well, children can't work in dangerous places. I mean, this is like the anti-industrial revolution. If a Chinese person sees this, they'd think it's crazy. It's like, what do you mean the kid isn't working? The boss must allow the child to work or we won't be able to exploit people. Years later, that kid became Jack Black. Despite the years, his dream of being a miner and breaking the pick in the iron persisted. He returns to the mine to fulfill that dream. Inexplicably, the old man still refuses to let Steve in, even though he's already a big boy who wears big boy underwear. The latter, powerful and agile, dodges the old man and gets in. Then, nothing but mining, picking here and there. In under 15 seconds, he discovers a magic cube that transports him into the literal world of Minecraft. Steve and the old man with the magic cube are in a meme where Steve is transported to the magical cubic world of Minecraft. My friend enjoys adding shaders and hyper-realistic texture packs to the game, to make the game look like the most hideous, generic, and cursed thing taken from the weirdest forum on 4chan. Now finally, Steve fulfills his dream of having the freedom to build whatever he wants, like Barbie, be whatever you want. And of course, the first thing Steve did was do what all of us did the first time we played Minecraft. Build ourselves a brown village-style house with pure dirt, alone, only to later build an even better house. Steve mentioned that just like in the game, nights last about 20 minutes, which amused me. I can't imagine how that's affecting his sleep cycle, but I'm not going to dwell on it. In the Minecraft movie, despite the vast possibilities the world offers, the loneliness is still overwhelming, which doesn't make sense. Even with the pissed off villagers wandering around. Obviously, it's not the same. So Steve felt very lonely in this world. That changed when he met his best friend, a wolf named Dennis. Which is kind of nice, but if I'm honest, being so square is pretty crappy. But how is it in Minecraft? If you say that, it sounds ugly, right? The truth is, the wolf looks pretty nice. Jokes aside, life was pure happiness and creativity. Hey, look, pandas. Surprisingly, they're not struggling to breathe, go to the bathroom, or mate. Damn, the Chinese are going to love this movie. Child exploitation pandas portrayed as animals capable of surviving without human intervention. This movie has it all, I get it now. They aim to appeal to the Chinese audience. The video also includes an awful moment of Steve jumping to catch a disc with his dog. But everything changed when Steve found a Nether portal, or Underworld for the youngsters, where he met the evil witch Malgosha, who longs to take over the magic cube that brought Steve to this world. Firstly, to plunder all the gold from the surface. Very Spanish. The lore, really? And me? Well, I know that Minecraft has a ton of lore and all that. But I don't see it as bad to pull a random witch out of nowhere for this movie, if not ask Minecraft Dungeons or Legends. And the amount of random things. Extremely strange that they pulled out of nowhere. It's not true. Almost no one played those things, although I did play some. Since the witch won't go for the gold peacefully, Steve gives the magic cube to his dog to escape and hide it safely. Steve gives Dennis the address of his house on Earth, so Dennis can hide the cube under the bed in a safe place. It appears that Steve spent a considerable amount of time inside Minecraft, as evidenced by the gray hairs that have emerged during his stay. The portal was always open for anyone to enter or exit. However, the dog runs and hides the cube, which Jack himself had. Steve admits that it was a terrible idea, and that also causes the portal to close. So, we meet another character, Jason Momoa, playing Jason Momoa but being the stereotype of a tough, middle-aged, somewhat failed man. Look at me, I'm so macho that I cook my meat with a blowtorch and eat protein powder directly, without adding water like a caveman. Garrett, a former renowned video game champion, is now trapped in his old persona, living as a lonely and unsuccessful elderly man. But despite everything, this man seems to know about finances. He's not the usual crypto bro promising you'll get rich with the new cryptocurrency, I promise. My buddy invests in abandoned warehouse auctions. The owner is his friend. He informs him about a valuable old console in a warehouse, so he spends nearly all his money on it, only to discover the box is empty. A scene that shows us how this character has gone bankrupt. And meanwhile, my buddy goes back to his business, frustrated for having lost his money. Steve's car broke down in the middle of the road, where we meet two other characters. But wasn't Steve the protagonist? Shut up. Your comment is rude, please be respectful. Now we meet these two siblings, Henry and Natalie, who lost their mother and have now moved to a new house. Thanks to the woman, that one who appeared in Peacemaker. The sister, worried, prepares a pizza made with French fries for her little brother, huh? Well, and my buddy, for no reason, he stops by Jason Momoa's store to give him the pizza. Because something has to happen in the plot. Then he goes to school and meets the principal, who, in my completely personal opinion, has one of the best parts of the movie. We'll get to that later. Henry is very sad because a creative boy, wants to express his creativity through creative pursuits. But his teacher and his classmates are very mean because how creativity? No, you came here to do what I tell you, stupid kid. Henry becomes depressed but tells others to go fuck themselves. Moments later, he builds a jetpack and puts it on a plastic skeleton, which ends up destroying part of the factory where his sister works. Incredibly, the 15-year-old kid managed to create a jetpack in just one school day. Fascinating. So, the director tells Henry that he will have to see his tutor. So my buddy comes up with the best idea in the world to call Momoa to pretend to be his uncle. Even though the latter doesn't want to, Henry just had to say he had $26 in cash for him to come running. Yes, in case it wasn't clear. Momoa is desperate. Once he picks him up, the director stares at Jason Momoa for a while, just moments later. Tell him something about if he wants to look in her trash, he can look whenever he wants because there are raccoons already rummaging there. It's the strangest and most horrible insinuation I've ever heard in my life. Additionally, Jason called the person who divorced you a fool. Then Henry and Jason return to the store. And it turns out that Jason had saved the cube, which Henry grabs and puts it in a glass that was right next to it. Only for moments later to read a note from Steve saying not to do just that. That's when the cube takes them to a mine, where Steve fell while Natalie knows nothing about her brother. So the real estate lady named Dawn, yes, that's her name, tracks Henry's phone and arrives with him at the mines. And that's how the four of them are absorbed and sent to the world of Minecraft. And I must say that this part of the movie, without a doubt, is the worst, the heaviest. I get that they need to introduce the characters, but take Steve for instance, who is the most crucial. They went speedrun mode, which worked out well for them. I think the presentation was quite good and well paced, but I think the part of them in the real world got a bit muddled. It lacked a bit of rhythm. I'm not saying to remove it all, but I think there it lacked a bit of rhythm. From this point, the movie maintains a good pace consistently. It also includes a joke that surprised me. Everyone enters the world of Minecraft where Jason Momoa stands as a tough guy. The moment Natalie arrives, Jason Momoa is ready for action. She collides with him and doesn't move Jason even a centimeter. But when Dawn collides with him, she sends him flying. Honestly, I didn't expect a fat joke in a children's movie. On top of that, in the middle of 2025, but, well, damn, epic. And by the way, a villager escaped to the real world. I hope nothing happens to him considering how horribly grotesque a villager is physically compared to a normal human being. Meanwhile, these four bastards are dealing with the fact that they are now in the cubic world. Night falls and with it the monsters that start to attack them indiscriminately. And amidst all the chaos, it turns out that Henry, being the teenage genius of the group, got the hang of building immediately. Amidst the chaos of the battle, he builds a tower to hide in. However, the glass enclosure containing the cube shatters, causing the portal to close. The monsters also climb the tower, seemingly dooming all. Until he appears and says, I am I am Steve. Seriously now? I saw clips on Twitter of people screaming like crazy when they saw this moment. In addition to many other comments on those videos with phrases like, stop having fun already. My buddy Steve seems to be very kind to the kids, but in reality, he's being manipulated by Malgosia. Well, she made Steve believe that she had his dog captive and forced him to bring the cube. It can't be. Malgosia controls his mind. In the end, Steve and the others reconcile and choose to journey together. The interaction between Jason and Steve is entertaining. Two immature adults were fooling around and comparing themselves both figuratively and literally in an inappropriate manner. The sexual tension between these two in the movie I think is the funniest thing. In a surprising turn of events, the villager who escaped to the real world is run over by the director, yet he doesn't flee the scene. He not only encounters the monstrosity, but invites him to dinner to avoid getting sued for another hit and run. I must admit that this was indeed funny, and now comes the festival of references. Look at a villager, village, golem, and a tribute to Technoblade. It was nice. Look at a torture machine for cooking live chickens, a song. Of course, it's a Jack Black movie. Look how cute Jason is eating a chicken freshly cooked in burning lava and holding back tears so they don't call him a wimp. Testosterone, raw eggs. Now the moment is coming, controversies. Star talents, because now we know General Chungus. And yes, it is a reference to Big Chungus, but the thing is that General Chungus is dubbed by a star talent. Both in Spain and in Latin America, in Spain we had Mike Crack, and in Latin America, Bobby Craft. And while in its original language, the joke of the character is that it has a threatening appearance and a pretty chill and generic voice. I think there's a huge difference between having a voice with a generic tone and speaking as if it were a YouTube video. Because, of course, the fact that the voice doesn't fit at all is the joke itself. But in its original language, there's an actor who gives personality to the dubbing. In dubbing, I'm simply listening to the YouTuber speak in one of their videos. And hey, at least it wasn't a leading role like with Transformers 1, where in Latin America you got Megatron and Bumblebee. And here we had Christinini as the pink robot, that one like. Please, stop already. Back to the topic. General Big Chungus seems to have had a friendship with Steve in the past, but despite having been buddies, Chungus has to go to the overworld to deal with him. By order of Malgosia. The movie has a profound moment about the philosophy of creativity. Steve tells Natalie that creativity is very good, but Natalie insists that creativity is bad. Because in her world, creatives either starve to death or spend their entire life locked up in offices and all that. In summary, for her, creatives are losers. Despite Steve's attempts to change her mind, she maintains her attitude, angering her brother who overhears. After a moment filled with game references, the evil piglins attack the village. So Natalie and Dawn split from the group and go their own way, while Steve, Jason, and Henry go their own. Having thus one of the strangest and most bizarre sequences I have been able to witness on the big screen. Henry flying with elytra wings, while Steve rides on Jason, who also has elytra. And in the end, these two end up doing a 69 to be able to escape from the damn piglins who use gash as balloons. All of this accompanied by the most damn surreal and cheap green screen you'll ever see in your fucking life. Not even Marvel, at its worst moments, is shitfuss made into a movie. It turns out that Steve obviously didn't want to give the cube to Malgosia, but he needs to make her believe that he does. And there, he tells the story of the aforementioned. She yearned for more than a piglin's life of endlessly seeking gold until death. She dreamed of dancing but was mocked by everyone for it. So she decided that no one else would laugh at her dreams because no one else could express any creativity ever. Damn, she's already deeper than 90% of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Why? Why do I pick on Marvel so much? Well, why not? What are you going to do? Stop me? And we're back with the subplot that has me more hooked than the movie itself. This director is sick as hell. She's on a date with a damn villager. Who makes sounds like they're going to hook up right there. If the last sequence was a total shitpost, I'm at a loss for words to describe this one. And now, Malgosia gobbled up Chungus like an anime villain who proceeds to kill his most loyal henchman because he failed a mission. And he pulls out a giant mutant piglin from his ass. Things that happen. Turns out, oh my god, Natalie and Dawn find Dennis, while Steve's group has to infiltrate a mansion full of Iagers. I mean the evil grey villagers, those, well, they have another crystal container for the cube with which they can open the portal again. And the plan is simple. Jason and Steve dress up as mariachis. Yes, mariachis, they dress up as mariachis, while Henry looks for the orb. But Steve tells the latter, not even think about looking an Enderman in the eyes, because if he does, he's going to get screwed. Immediately after, Henry finds the crystal and also a Diamond X, but he looks directly into the damn Enderman's eyes. Which brings him visions, and among them, a literal glimpse or tribute to Herobrine. And I have a question for Minecraft fans. When did Endermen have the ability to make you hallucinate? I don't know. I think I missed that part where they explained the Enderman's ability in the game. While Henry experiences the most intense hallucinogenic trip, the Enderman may have actually offered him a potent joint. Steve and Jason were captured, while the latter was forced to fight against a baby zombie on top of a chicken. This is a funny reference because we already know that the chicken rider is an enemy. While it's not that it's powerful, unless it's a wither, it is very annoying. So they've made the meme here that it's a dangerous enemy. They appear to escape in the end, but in reality they don't, as Malgosia was waiting for them right outside the mansion. She steals the cube and, like a cliche villain, declares, well, I have stolen the object I need to rule the world. So now, I'll let my henchmen, who have more than once proven to me that they're not as competent as they should be, kill you without my supervision. Because of course I'm in a big hurry. It's not like I can wait literally 3 minutes on the clock to secure the kill. I don't have to leave now. Steve and Henry escape, but Jason sacrifices himself. Although in these types of movies, they rarely have the courage to kill off characters. By the way, with such a tremendous fall that Henry just suffered, I'm surprised he's still alive. Then, Malgosia fills the world with darkness, and her piglins manage to enter the overworld, while Dawn and Natalie find Steve and Henry. The mission now is to defeat the witch and save the overworld from destruction. This upcoming moment is cinematic. First to mine, and then to craft. Minecraft theme. No joke, they actually said it. So we have a preparation sequence. They craft their weapons and their tremendous army of iron golems, and it's time for the fight. I found it funny that Malgosia herself emphasizes the fact that the golems do not attack unless provoked, and right after this, one of the piglins attacks it. What is that giant golem with speed boots? Is that real? I should have checked it before making the video to avoid looking foolish. It's really cool though. I'll check it out later. Now yes, epic fight at the end of a generic movie and Jack Black with diamond armor. I never thought I would see that, nor did I think it necessary, but I just did it, and I will not be the same from now on. So the fight happens, and it turns out that Henry killed the Enderman S, so now he has an Ender Pearl. He uses it to reach the top of the Piglin portal, steal the cube that grants him power, and close the portal. But he was attacked and nearly died from fall damage. If it weren't for the fact that indeed Jason was still alive and somehow he grabbed one of those gas balloons to fly, with which he even destroys the portal. The dark fog dissipates and sunlight fills the land, banishing the zombies, skeletons, and piglins to hell. But Malgosia, in her last breath, wants to whisper something to Steve. And this is a multiple stabbing attempt, which I think is one of my favorite jokes from the movie. Not to mention the sexual tension between Jack Black and Jason Momoa. Everyone except Steve returns to their world, learning that creativity matters. Surprisingly, Steve allows Dawn to take Janice with her. He transformed his life, but now the world needs his joy. In the end, everyone says goodbye, but Steve has a change of heart at the last moment and decides to join them in the real world. Everyone now works at Jason's store and they organize a concert. The villager learned human language and the lady learned to speak villager. They get married. A post-credit scene reveals Alex's existence, hinting at a potential sequel. Given its revenue, it's very likely that there will be one. 100%. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be honest, I didn't particularly like the movie. I found it quite mediocre. As you already know, mediocre doesn't mean bad. Mediocre means, well, that it's more or less average, but maybe mediocre, leaning a bit towards bad. For example, the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie seemed mediocre to me, but I liked it a little more, especially because it didn't look so cheap. And certain little things I liked, like exploring the personality of the animatronics possessed by the souls of the children. But this movie, I was just expecting a little more. Yes, it's kind of fun. Yes, it's a festival of shitpost. Yes, it even has a couple of good songs. It has the bromance of Jason and Steve, but I don't know. Being Minecraft, the truth is that I wanted a little more. I didn't want the most serious movie in the universe or anything, but yes, I wanted something a little different. That simply was something like a parody, a comedy movie, and a festival of shitpost. It's not that the movie as such is so bad or anything. It's just that my expectations were a bit elsewhere. That's why I say don't hold it against me or get angry, as the movie is watchable and certainly enjoyable. The hour and a half that the movie lasts goes by quite quickly. The truth is that it goes by quite quickly, except for the beginning, which did get a little bit heavy. The rest goes by quite quickly. They can refine some aspects for the sequel, possibly adding more depth. Because many people confuse that a product being aimed at children automatically makes it a mediocre product and that it doesn't matter because it's for children. But movies like The Lion King, Kung Fu Panda, I don't know, Mulan, among many others, they show us that a product can be for children, but it can also have a high narrative quality. So well, in the end, I'm left with a slightly bitter taste. It's a tolerable movie, as I say, quite average in the middle and nothing more. Personally, if you want my opinion, mine, totally subjective, I didn't like it much, but it was watchable. I had a good time watching the movie. I'm not going to remember it as anything special. And I feel that Minecraft is one of the most important video games in the history of the industry, indisputably. I think it could have been a little bit more than just a kind of YouTube parody, but with a big budget and a festival of shitposts to upload clips to TikTok. Oh, and screw you, Snow White. I must not forget that. Come on, good afternoon. Bye.